Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to talk about my Reeve knife, small Sebenza 21 in Micarta. I've had this knife for a little over 5 years now. And in the 5 years, I've used it as an everyday carry function. So I do work in the office, but I also really enjoy camping in the outdoors. And so I've taken it out into the outdoors as well, and it's functioned really well in both settings, indoors and outdoors. It's a very versatile knife, and that's what I really like about it. Now, why did I get this knife? So, as most of us knife nuts, right, when we start this journey, we start off with, CRK tees, SOGs, Kershaw's, and Spyderco, Benchmade, and those are all very great companies. I still love my Spydercos, but as we all know, we all strive to get a Reeve knives in our collection one day, right? So over time, after collecting and selling knives, I ended up getting a Reeve knife. This is not the first Reeve I've ever gotten. I actually had the plain Jane and Singo small. I ended up selling that for whatever reason, and I regretted it. And so I ended up getting this guy. And this is the first CRK knife that I've had for several years. So why did I get a CRK? First of all, it's an industry standard, right? Everyone who's into knives knows about Reeve knives. It's the pinnacle of knife production, essentially. Now, I know there's now a lot more competition. There's a lot of great companies out there making amazing production knives. You get more for the money, but really, Reeve knife is just still at the top of when it comes to making very quality production folding knives. Actually, fixed knives too. Another reason why I got this particular variation is because of that silver thumb stud. Most Reeve knives comes with that blue anodized thumb stud. But I really like how the silver thumb stud really gives it a silver, just a subtle and a classy element to the overall knife. And I also got this particular variation with the micarta because of how it feels in the hand. It feels the hand really well. I have small to medium sized hands, and when I get small knives, I like to kind of feel my hand a little bit more just because it is a smaller knife. So having that micarta slab just adds a subtle, a little bit more subtle just shape around the handle that just really feels really good in the hand. The micarta gives it a really warm feel. And really, another reason why I got this one is because it's an heirloom piece. This is a knife that you could just hand down to your kids or to other family members or friends, in the future, and it's still going to work really well. It's still going to look good. It's still going to have that reputation of, what Reeve brings to the table. It's just a knife that works, and it works really well. So what are some of the things I really love about this knife? First of all, despite it being a very expensive knife, it's really designed to work, and it works really well. Everything is just very thoughtfully designed. Everything from the chamfer of the handle to the way the blade is designed and shaped, to the way it locks up. Everything just feels really good. Everything feels like it's been thought through. This is a company that's been making knives for over 20 years now. So they know what they're doing. They know what works, what doesn't work. And they largely leave out the things that really doesn't have any function. I love how this knife has a really nice hollow grind. So if you guys know anything about hollow grind, is that when you cut into a material, it tends to push the material away from the blade, so it glides through material real easy. And I think that's why this thing cuts so well, despite it having a pretty thick blade stock for how small of a knife this is, it cuts amazingly well. It cuts almost better than a full flat grind. I mean, not as well, I want to say, but it's pretty darn close. It cuts really well. And another thing I really love about this knife is just the bank vault action and lockup. You know, Chris Reeve knife is not known for a fall shutty blade action, right? I mean, this one that will do it because I've had this knife for so long and it's broken in really nice, so I could even flick it. But when you first get your Chris Reeve, you might not even be able to flick it. It might just stop short like that, and then you're gonna have to open it. But there's something really deliberative about the way you open and close a Chris Reeve knife. It just has this glassy, just deliberative action that you feel it all the way through. It's an experience of its own, right? So I love to flick it, but I also love to just slow roll it out and slow roll it in, and just feel every just glassy movement. Another thing I love about this knife is just it's consistent. You know what you're getting with a Chris Reeve knife. Once you get one, you generally know what the other ones, what you're getting. You're gonna get a quality knife. You're gonna get a knife that just locks up solid every single time. I've had this knife, like I said, for over 5 years, and that lockup hasn't moved from that position. It's about 50%, and it's stayed there for years now. It hasn't moved any less or any more. It just stayed very solid, and there is no movement in any direction. This knife, it is so rock solid. I haven't had any issues with lockup. And just the last thing I want to share was that just the timeless design. Like I mentioned before, just everything seems to be very thought out. Everything from the way the pocket clip is designed with that little notch so that it grabs into the seam of your pocket, whatever pants that you're wearing. From the way that these are all chamfered around the edges. I feel like a lot of knife companies learned a lot from CRK. So you see a lot of companies also doing the chamfers. You see knife companies doing just everything that really Chris Reeve started, or maybe not even started, but they've really adopted into the design. And so I feel like knife companies really look to Chris Reeve to know what work and what doesn't work. Now I know that they're rolling out with the Sebenza 31, which gets rid of that hole. I mean, I personally really like that hole. I feel like it gives it that character that Chris Reeve is known for. But man, I won't complain. I actually have one. I have a Sebenza 31 on back order. So I ain't complaining, man. Whatever works for them is gonna work for me. But overall, this is a fantastic knife. If you're on the fence about getting one, go ahead and grab one. I know there's still a lot of Sebenza 21s available. I've checked all the major knife retailers, and there's still plenty available. But I know over time, it's going to become less and less available as they, roll out the 31. And they, from what I've heard, that the 31 is supposed to replace the 21. But man, if you're in the market to grab a 21, go for it. It's just it's a knife that's proven itself time and time again. The design has proven itself to be a design to emulate and sometimes even to copy, right? It's not a very complicated design. It's just literally you got a straight line, and then you got a couple of curves, and it just fits the hand really well. It doesn't look like it'll be comfortable in the hand, but for me, the small 21 just feels really good in the hand. And if you really want to get a knife that fills the hand, then I'd recommend getting one with the with either Micarta, or they also have different wood variations. But what have you, it just fills the hand a little bit more than the plain gen. So I really highly recommend one with the inserts if you're able to swing it. Overall, man, this is a great knife. This is a knife that really, I mean, people are gonna say like, why would you pay, like three, four, five, $600 for a pocket knife, right? I get asked that question by a lot of my friends and family members that are not into knives, and the way I explain it is like this. When you first get a car, right, in high school, you're gonna get a car that just works. It's gonna get you from point A to point B, right? So, you're gonna get a car that's most affordable, that's within your budget. But eventually, as you get older in life, you have more expendable income. You want to upgrade, right, from a Honda Civic to, like, let's say a Mercedes, right? So it's gonna do the same thing as your Honda Civic. It's gonna get you from point A to point B, but you're gonna enjoy it a lot more. You're gonna enjoy the extra luxurious frills that comes with a Mercedes Benz or a Tesla or a $90,000 car versus a $20,000 car. And this is exactly what this knife is. It's gonna cut, as well as a Kershaw. It's gonna cut as well as a knife that you pay like $20, $30 for, right? But when you get a Chris Reeve knife or any other knife that's just that you're paying more money for, you're not only buying for the function, right? You're also buying the brand, the reputation, the story, the years of experience that they've had in crafting such a fine tool. You're really buying into how it makes you feel when you're using that tool, right? For me, I just love using Chris Reeve knife. I love it because I know it'll consistently work. It'll work well, and it just makes me feel really good. When it comes down to it, that's really, you're paying that extra money for how it makes you feel when you get that knife. When you get it in the mail, right? And if you've gotten a Chris Reeve before, it comes like in this really cool box with the foam insert, and it comes with the tools and the lubricating cream and the little blue infamous towel that they're known for. And it's just an experience of its own when you get to unwrap a Chris Reeve knife and you get to open it for the first time and you're like, whoa, now I know. I would like to say, yes, nowadays there's a lot of companies out there that are offering a lot more for what you pay for a Chris Reeve, right? You're going to get Damascus blade. You're going to get the latest innovating locking mechanism. When you get a Chris Reeve, you're going to get a tried and true design. You're going to get that integral lock that just works well, that a lot of companies have adopted into their knife designs. You're not going to get a flipper, you're not going to get ball bearings. You're just going to get a knife that works and has worked really well for many, many years. And so I really, if you're in the market to get the latest, greatest gadget, then maybe the Chris Reeve knife is not for you. But if you want to get a knife that just works really well, that stood the test of time, then a Chris Reeve knife is for you. So go ahead and grab one and you will not regret it. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later.